Welcome to you all today. It really is a great honor for all of us to have you here. And I think you're going to learn a lot. I want to ask you, if you do get offended by the truth, please bear with us until the end, because you may see the big picture. And that's what we're trying to do today, is to give you the big picture of medicine. And that's why we started with something called puzzling medicine, because it truly is puzzling. Why is it puzzling? Because, you know, one guy has a little piece here and he thinks that's the puzzle. And another person has another piece of the puzzle and thinks that's the complete picture. But it isn't the complete picture. And I'm sure there are pieces that I'm not going to cover today because I don't know those pieces, or we don't have time for it. But at least we're going to put the pieces of the puzzle together so that you can understand a bit more of it. So I've called it medical mayhem. It's a mess. We don't understand. It's chaos in medicine. I think it's fair to ask, well, if you're going to discuss something, what is it? What is medicine? Well, if you look back in history, you know, Hippocrates said, let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. I mean, it's such an old statement, but it is so true even today. And then there was, look at this one. All that mankind needs for good health is provided by God in nature. The challenge for science is to find it. And who said that? Well, the father of pharmacology, Paracelsus. Interesting. So, what is the purpose of medicine? What should it do? Well, there are various things. It must cure disease. It must protect the healthy. So if you're healthy, if you go to your doctor and you say, doctor, I feel fine, I am great, but what can I do to keep that way? You know, it might be a little bit of a puzzling question to him, but that is what it is. It needs to protect the healthy. And it also needs to prolong life. So it needs to help you to live longer. But is this still true today? And yeah, we can all say with a resounding, yes, definitely it is. Well, let's see. The USA and the UK are losing the war on cancer. That's in the Journal of American Medical Association. If you go into hospital, there's a 1 in 6 chance today that it was caused by some medical procedure that went wrong. We find that the Journal of American Medical Association admitted that iatrogenic deaths, which means doctor-induced deaths, iatrogenic, is the 3rd leading cause of deaths in the USA. That means 250,000 people die every year. In fact, just over 100,000 people die every year due to correctly prescribed drugs. The doctor didn't make a mistake, he gave it correctly, but the people die. 10,000 Britons die every year from a drug reaction. I mean, they're a small country, so that's a big number for them. A head of a drug company, which I won't mention, said recently that 90% of their medicine, of their company, it's a big company, or other pharmaceutical companies, 90% of it doesn't work. He shocked the world by saying that. So, is it still true today? Well, we probably got to say, I don't know. It's something that we'll have to investigate. But you see, the thing is that we get 2 kinds of medicines. And the first kind of medicine is called the bug theory. And the second one is called the terrain theory. And I'll explain those to you. The first one, the bug theory, says if life is there and disease strikes, you have something that we have in our arsenal, and it's called a drug. And we use the drug and it goes against the illness that you have. And it suppresses the eczema or the asthma or the cancer or the whatever it could be. And we call this also cut, burn, or poison. And you'll see why. Cut means is when we operate on you. They cut you open, you've got a tumor, slice it out, your appendix, slice it out, your tonsil, slice it out, hysterectomy, all those things, you cut it out. The second thing we can do is to burn it. You know, there's a bug, we can put up a big linear accelerator and burn it, like a microwave, just an oversized microwave oven. The third thing you can do is you can poison it. And you might say, wait. That's a bit arrogant. Well, let me explain to you what a drug is. See, a drug is an interesting thing. They take 100 mice on average. Then they give a substance, your blood pressure medication or your whatever that you're taking. They're giving that to 100 mice and they say, well, let's give it until such a point as when 50 of the mice are dead. And at that point, we call that the lethal dose 50 percentile, for short the LD50. And the LD50 simply means that half of the mice are sort of still alive. And they use X percentage of that to give you a therapeutic, that's called a therapeutic dose. Is this true? Well, take your medication when you go home tonight and check on it. It's got a S1 to a S7. Okay? So if it's really, really potent stuff, it's got S7. So if you take 2 tablets instead of 1, you have a 50% chance of dying. But if it's a S1 like a Aspro or something like that, it may be that you have to take 2 boxes to die. So you understand that the lethal dose is much higher on some and much lower on others. So if you take just a little bit of some, you know, you're dead. Those, the Schedule 6 and 7s, they're the one that's, you know, they have a register, they lock it behind almost in a safe to keep it out of reach, because if you get hold of it, you know, can be big troubles. So that is what a drug is. If it doesn't have a Schedule 1 to 7 or it doesn't have a lethal dose, it means it's not a drug. Water is not a drug, see, because water has no lethal dose. If you have 20,000 liters, it's still safe unless you sort of fall in it, but you can also drown in a cup. So a friend of mine incidentally said, if you intend drowning, don't drown in a cup, you know, do it decently. But anyway, that's just